A long time ago, a good friend of mine asked me to make her a wooden briefcase with a special compartment to hold her laptop and also the cables and accessories that goes with the laptop. This was in a time before I had access to a laser cutter and some of the nicer tools that I have now, but I did have a scroll saw and a bit of experience in making nice wooden images that I wanted to cut out and paste on the outside of the case. And I thought that while I was making one, I might just as well make a few more, and I ended up with 4 laptop cases, one that I of course gave to the friend that requested it, and now 3 more laptop cases that I still have, and I don't really have an idea what to do with them. I thought of giving them away or maybe disassembling them for the hardware, but if you have an idea, leave a suggestion in the comments. And that means onto the video of how these laptop cases were made. The wooden laptop cases are basically just 2 boxes stuck to each other with hinges to open to the one side and the other side. And the first step, of course, is just to cut all the wood. And I started with the outside panels and decided that these large outer panels would be held together by strips of plywood, showing the laminated layers of wood and making this a feature of the laptop case rather than trying to hide it. With all the pieces of wood cut, I started the assembling process, and I started with assembling the frames from the inner strips that I later stuck to the big outer panels. Throughout this process, you'll see that some of the pieces have been pre-stained and some I left clear just to have variation in the cases that I wanted to make. The laptop for which this briefcase was designed was a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and it had this big boxy adapter with the cable, and I needed to make a special recess for this to fit. So all these briefcases have this strange square hole and the compartment that's not completely sealed off from where documents and things would be located. I'm not sure if this is something that would be useful today. I'm sure that many laptops will fit in the space, and many of the cables and adapters are much smaller, but the compartments for this specific model remain still today. Initially, I made everything slightly oversized, and then when everything was glued up, I trimmed down the sides of one panel to get it exactly the size that I had in mind. Then it was on to adding the hinges. And once the hinges were in place, it was possible to resize the rest of the panels to be exactly the same size as the first panel. And this was done with an edge trimming router bit, and it looked really nice. I'm really happy with how well this turned out. During this project, like many others, there was of course a copious amount of sanding, and this went on for a very long time. After cleaning up everything and restaining some of the parts that have been sanded down, it was on to cutting the scroll saw images. Unfortunately, I do not have any footage of where I actually cut these pieces, but I did it on a normal scroll saw, and it was really relaxing and quite fun to do this. I am quite sad that I do not get as much time to use a scroll saw rather than having to rely on a laser cutter. Then of course it's on to gluing all the images on the case and adding the feet. All the wooden parts were of course lacquered during this process to give it a nice protective coat and also a bit of a shine. After that, I added some felt that I cut to size in one of the compartments, and this was of course to provide protection for a laptop. This turned out much better than I expected it would, and I'm quite happy with the result. The last few things that needed to be done was just to add the final hardware. This included of course hinges. I had different hinges for each of the laptop cases, and I think it turned out reasonably well. Then also latches, also different latches for the different laptop cases. And there you have it. This is how I made laptop cases that I still have until this day. I of course want to thank Dr. Peterson that commissioned me for the first laptop case. And thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, a comment or a upvote or a subscribe or whatever would not go amiss. So until the next video, thanks. Cheers.